That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Beast, the 13th film directed by Baltasar Kormákur, which is being released August 19th, 2022, courtesy of Universal.
13 films?
Yeah, he's made...
Do I know any of them?
You do. He's from Iceland and kind of was, about 20 years ago, started becoming a notable Icelandic filmmaker and, maybe arguably revitalized that country's filmmaking industry and has since branched out considerably in a number of international and Hollywood productions. His first feature was 101 Reykjavík, which got him a lot of attention. Jar City won Karlovy Vary, notably in 2006. He remade a film he starred in called Reykjavík, Rotterdam as Contraband, starring Mark Wahlberg and Kate Beckinsale. You've seen his film Two Guns, starring Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg.
I do not remember that.
Oh, we did? That was like 2013. And he also directed Everest, which you've seen.
What's that about?
About the people climbing Mount Everest.
A documentary?
No, a film starring a whole slew of people like Josh Brolin and...
I do recall that.
Yeah, because... I think Josh Brolin in particular gets stuck coming on the way down, and I remember you giggling at how he's just kind of sitting there. Is what I remember about that movie. It's written by Ryan Engle, who's written a couple Liam Neeson vehicles like Nonstop and The Commuter. He also wrote Rampage, which I remember you liked, starring Don Johnson, based on the video game.
Don Johnson?
Dwayne Johnson, excuse me, and
with the big alligator and the gorilla. Correct. Yes.
And Breaking In, starring Gabby Union, which I don't know if you saw that. It was kind of silly, but it's fun to see her.
It's a lot of images to pull. Okay, so did you like this movie?
Yeah, I think probably more than you, but I think this is the kind of film that's a testament to good performers and very substandard fare.
I thought this movie was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I paid to see it, I wouldn't be upset. I just don't think it's any fun. So, the basic story is Idris Elba takes his two daughters to South Africa to visit with a family friend, this man who knew his Idris's now dead wife, the mother of his two children. She died from cancer like a year ago. Mm-hmm. But the family is there's a little drama because Idris and the wife had separated right before she got sick. Mm-hmm. So when she started to get sick, he really wasn't around because they weren't supposed to be together. So the oldest daughter, Meredith, is upset with her dad. But they're on this trip and...
kind of to reconnect with their dead mother's cultural past.
Yes, because she's from the area, I believe, and then she was also a photographer, and so is the older daughter, so she gets to see some of her work, which is hanging on the wall of this friend's home, who they refer to as Uncle Martin.
Played by Sharlto Copley.
Anyhow, Uncle Martin takes them out because he runs a reserve, an animal reserve, so he takes them out and shows them whatever. They see some lions and whatnot. And I believe it's like on their second day, let's say, they go out and... they make their way to like a little small village that's located on the reserve. And they being Uncle Martin, Idris, and the two girls, they find that all of the inhabitants of this village have been killed. And it's clear they've been killed by a lion. Mm-hmm. And Uncle Martin is saying this is like highly unusual. Lions don't usually kill humans and then not eat them. So the fact that all of these people are dead and just chilling is very strange. So, the beast is this lion, who I guess we can get into it, but basically the story's trying to make it seem like this lion is like anti-poacher.
This lion is the opening of the film is this lion's pride being obliterated by a bunch of poachers, and so therefore the lion is taking revenge against all humans in the area.
I got cut off, so I don't know where I ended. But the bulk of the film is when Martin, Idris, and the two daughters are fleeing the little village with all the dead people. They come across a man who's badly injured. So, did we mention that Idris is a medical doctor?
You did not.
I did not.
His name is Dr. Nathaniel Samuels.
So he and Uncle Martin get out and attempt to assist this man when Uncle Martin sort of wanders off because he hears something in the bush. And it's this beast lion. So Uncle Martin gets dragged off. Idris goes back to his car with his daughters because the man on the road is clearly dead now. And they try to get away because the lion attacks the car and they like drive into like a tree. So now they're kind of stuck because this reserve is not open to the public.
They're stuck on a tree that's hanging kind of on a precipice.
Like hanging off a cliff.
Like Jurassic Park, for which the character Mare is wearing a shirt of.
So it's Idris trying to figure out how to get his family out because the lion is stalking them. Some poachers do end up showing up. They get killed by the lion. So Idris is able to take one of their cars. They make it to like a poacher's hut. And it's clear to him that this lion is not going to stop until they kill it.
And Mare has been injured and needs attention.
The oldest daughter, Meredith, has been injured. So she needs some attention. And he decides that he is going to... Because early on in the film, Uncle Martin, when he first takes them out... They see like a pride of lions, and Uncle Martin explains that the female lions go hunting and the male lions sort of protect the pride. So if another lion goes in their little area, they will attack it. So Idris lures this beast of a lion out into like this open area, hoping that the other male lions will come and attack it. And they do, but before they do, that lion mauls the hell out of Idris Elba. But the other lions show up, kill the beast lion. Then the next scene is Idris in the hospital with a couple little band-aids. and then the final scene is when they first arrived to South Africa to Uncle Martin's house, he was showing Meredith pictures that their mom had taken, and one of them was in front of this tree. So the final shot of the film is Idris with his two daughters in front of this tree. And I'm assuming it's during the same trip. Like, he's only had a little time to recover. And he doesn't have any bandages on him. He's walking with a cane and a slight limp, which we can get into, but that was unbelievable to me. That's the end. Mm-hmm. Okay, what would you like to say?
I mean, I think that Idris and the two young women, Norah is played by Leah Jeffries and Mare is played by Iyana Halley. Halley. I think they all give pretty good performances in something that's pretty standard and cliche. This family that's, going through this traumatic, the after effects of trauma that they've had to endure, and a lot of film like Maneater, just kind of with the Requiem with Alicia Silverstone. It's the same thing as
like Maneater as well.
That like these people, that have gone through something devastating, and then it becomes this man versus nature story, and it's like, well, again, that feels so familiar and so cliche. But I think these two young women are so good at their characterizations that I felt, at least I was invested in them until, of course, it switches up and then becomes a chase film.
Yeah, I agree. Their performances are good. I think Idris brings a lot of class to it. Mm-hmm. But I think that's probably part of the problem I'm having is the movie is taking itself seriously, and then you have Idris Elba, who's doing a fine job. The two daughters are doing a fine job. So it just wasn't fun. I thought from the trailer and the poster, we were going to get an over-the-top action film of this man protecting his family from these animals in the wild. I was fully expecting Idris Elba to literally like kill a lion with his bare hands and wrestle crocodiles, and it's not that at all. He's actually not really doing much of any fighting. And then the big scene with the lion, he gets his ass whooped. So
because some absolute ridiculousness sets in when it's like that's the plot mechanism, this vengeful lion who's learned what his enemy is in ways that nature just doesn't act at all. And if that feline were to do that, it would be contained to getting away from this or protecting its pride in this certain instance. It wouldn't be stalking these people across the land, and that's what makes it seem so stupid.
I would have preferred a movie where if it's Idris and his two daughters are on safari and somehow their vehicle gets stuck somewhere and everyone involved, the tour guides are killed by something and they're stuck out there, and then all these animals they have to protect, hyenas and whatnot.
Just naturally, the elements. You're in their territory and they are responding to you invading their space.
And I would echo what you said. I guess because we've watched a lot of these survival sort of like creature movies in the past couple of months, I think I'm getting a little bored with like it's always My wife just died. I just got a divorce. I just broke up from my boyfriend. I had a miscarriage. Like there's always something attached to it. It's like we don't need a reason for this father to protect his daughters. Like he's gonna do it. I didn't need all the extra stuff that kind of brought the tone down. Mm-hmm. It almost would have been better if they would have gone to South Africa for a fun trip. Like I've been so busy, and you girls, the one's gonna start high school or college or whatever, and like let's just do something because I don't spend enough time with you, and it's supposed to be fun. And look at what happened. Mm-hmm. That would have been more appealing to me.
No, but this is obviously a lot better than something like Rogue, starring Megan Fox, or Primal, starring Nicolas Cage.
Sure.
If not just because the special effects are quite good.
The lion looks fantastic. Yeah. My first note is Uncle Martin, that actor.
Sharlto. He usually plays a villain.
I do love him, and he also has some real crazy. It looks like he had longer hair with highlights at a point,
and dark eyebrows.
And then they cut it, but then the back of his head looked crazy to me.
I think he always kind of looks like that. You know him. He's in all three of the first three of Neil Blomkamp's films. He's the star of District 9.
What? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't recognize him. Oh. There are some cool flourishes with like photography. Mm-hmm. Like the photography that Meredith is taking, and along with the photography of the dead mother, and then we get flashbacks like Idris is dreaming of his wife, and perhaps she grew up in some sort of tribe,
a village,
or a village. Sorry, I thought all that looked cool.
Yes, and notably, it's shot by Oscar-winning cinematographer Philippe Rousselot, who won an Oscar for River Runs Through It, but has done tons of things lately, stuff like the Fantastic Beasts films. But I think it looks good. We have an Oscar-winning composer, Stephen Price, who did the score. He won for Gravity. So yeah, the production value is quite good.
So when Uncle Martin takes them out and they first see the pride of lions, his ass walks right up to the lions and starts hugging them.
Which reminded me of the movie Roar.
Which made me think someone needs to remake... If you haven't seen Roar with Melanie Griffith's mom...
Tippi Hedren.
You need to watch that.
Melanie's also in it.
Oh, that's right.
She's a teenager.
That's right. Mm-hmm. It's... I'm due to rewatch it, actually. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
But someone needs to remake it. Because it's so ridiculous.
It could not be the same. Because those are real lines.
No, it'd have to be CGI. But yeah, watching the original from 70... What is it?
I thought it was like 75 or 6, somewhere in there.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So...
And Tippi, of course, is in another of nature revolting against mankind templates with the birds. Mm. And the very final shot of the film is when they disturb this flock of birds in that tree. I joked that would be a good...
Getting back to the film not being fun, we saw it at like an AMC, so there wasn't like a larger audience, and there were moments when the audience laughed, and I think they were laughing at the movie.
Sure.
One of which is when the lion's attacking the car, and Idris keeps telling his daughters, do not get out of the car, do not get out of the car. And then all of a sudden the oldest daughter is like out of the car.
She was already out of the car.
And then is like running, and the audience laughed because it's so ridiculous.
Well, I think it's because how it's edited too in that scene, because Idris is fighting this lion, and then the next shot is like, she's already found Sharlto Copley.
Like, what? Then there's a moment when Idris is like hiding from that, oh, God. We see a shot of this body of water with like the 2 largest crocodiles you've ever seen get into it. Mm-hmm. And then later on we see Idris like wading that water, trying to get away from the lion, which was creepy. And then the lion is like sort of sniff. My next note is this lion must be deaf and have no sense of smell.
Yeah.
It was just unbelievable how like the lion never... There's so many moments when it's like, I know the lion heard Idris or smelled his ass. There's no way. But there's a moment when Idris is hiding in the tree and there's a snake crawling on his arm, and he catches it before the snake strikes him and then drops it on the lion. Mm-hmm. And the lion looks like it's scared of the snake. Mm-hmm. And the audience laughed. Then, the final scene when the lion is attacking Idris, the audience was laughing.
Well, it's so ridiculous.
Because it's so ridiculous.
Well, okay. First of all, the screenplay doesn't allow Idris to sound like a doctor. And
well, keep going, because I agree that I feel like he doesn't speak like a medical doctor, and his accent is, because one of the poachers says, "Oh, you're American." Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh, because of his accent? Because to me, he doesn't sound American. And then his wife clearly had an accent, mm-hmm. but his daughters speak like with American
But they
accents.
were in New York, so I don't know.
Right, but Idris doesn't sound American. Like, it doesn't matter. He could have an accent, but I feel like he's not doing his normal speaking voice. So I don't know what kind of accent he was trying to do.
Sure, but that is so ridiculous. That equals Liam Neeson tying those small liquor bottles to his fist when he's fighting the wolves at the end of The Grey.
Oh, God.
That's about how ridiculous that is. But the script doesn't trust us to be intelligent enough to realize that whole bit with Sharlto explaining how the males, lions protect the pride, and that giving Idris the idea to bring the lion out into the clearing. They don't trust us to know that because the daughter has to say it out loud to us while he's on the hospital bed.
That was corny. Another moment the audience laughs is when you mentioned the car that's incapacitated, like falls off. It does fall off that cliff, and it's with Uncle Martin inside and the lion. So when this car falls down the cliff, the lion's hurt and it's like knocked unconscious, and then immediately gets up and kind of shakes it off. The audience laughed at that.
Well, and then Sharlto self-immolates.
And then
he's so saintly, which is kind of annoying about his character because he says sorry to the lion first because he's an anti-poacher. He's been killing poachers.
Yeah, that's another plot point that's like, wait, what?
Yeah, that it was interesting. I wish they had explored more that
because the oldest daughter questions him, saying that. Or is it the younger daughter? One of the daughters questions him, like, it's the younger daughter, saying she's read about anti-poachers. Are you an anti-poacher? They kill poachers. And he's like, well, we do what we have to do to protect the animals or something. I feel like that was a big plot point to bring up, and then it's like, okay.
Right.
But then, yes, in the car, the lion's, like, trying to attack him after he's fallen down the cliff, and there's gas leaking, so he sets himself on fire. And then we see the lion is burned.
It's just to see these characters that are supposed to be professionals and intelligent, like logically say like, yeah, this lion's taking vengeance on us. I mean, that's a tale as old as time in cinema. That's Orca with the killer whale that's lost its mate that's trying to take revenge on people. There's a really good exploitation classic from 1978 called The Long Weekend where this couple is accosted by all of the wildlife in the outback that people have always criticized as ridiculous, but there's a certain level of fun I think to be had in a lot of those films.
So even the worst shark movie has moments of some dread because just being out in the open water is scary as hell and not knowing what's underneath. But in this film, the ending where they end up in the poacher's den, it had such an odd tone to me because it felt like unnaturally tense because we know the lion, like as the audience, we know that we're not done with the lion. But in reality, the fact that these people are, like Idris and his two daughters have made their way safely to this like structure would indicate that they should be fine. And it's like daylight. It's during the day. People obviously occupy the space on a regular basis. So I don't know. I think some of the dread that you would find in like a shark movie is missing here. And I think the screenplay needed to do a better job when we weren't out in the reserve at night where it's dark. That's creepy.
Sure.
But it was like bright as hell and they're in a building and we're still worried about this lion.
We're trying to do a lot in that scene too because that poacher's hideout is also attached to a school.
I was a little confused.
There's some confusion there, and how is this on the reserve and just so blatantly out in the open? And also, they drove for a little bit, like several kilometers at least, and the lion just pops up there.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, they're driving at a higher rate of speed. And
because Meredith's like, how did the lion catch us? Like, it must have cut through the mountain. It's like, okay. But you know what I think they're trying to do with that scene with the screen? Because remember, Idris has this monologue about how when he found out his wife had cancer and how it was his fault because he's a doctor, and he let cancer walk up in his house and take her. And I think that's supposed to be a metaphor for what this lion does, which is literally walking up into this house to take his family because he's not paying enough attention.
I don't have anything else. I just like it's okay. Check it out. If you paid for it, I don't think you'd be mad. It's just not fun. The action's not there. You're not going to get any scenes of Idris, strangling a big cat. So
yeah, I think there is an argument against these types of films for how they paint nature and how things act in the natural environments, and it just seems ridiculous. And then how you kind of demonize this rogue animal
Sure.
Because they reduced this lion to calling it a thing and a devil almost, you know, as the title.
They do call it a devil.
Which is just, to me, that is so stupid. So I would like to, on a positive note, I didn't mind this movie. I like Idris. I like the two young women. But for a more positive depiction of humans interacting with lions, I highly recommend the film Born Free from 1966. Did you ever see that?
I don't know.
Oh, we need to watch that. Born Free is so good. Anyway.
What would you give this movie?
I think 2.5 is fair.
I would give it 2.5 out of 5. Anything else? Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.